Now it's switching. Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
You can do it.
Perfect. So to get started, this is our Google Suite Gmail Docs Forms and More workshop. And today's session will focus first on some quick Gmail and calendar tips. I just want to give you some ways to make better use of your Gmail account. Then we'll move into Google Docs functionality and some of the cool things you can do there. And then I will briefly go over creating forms and surveys. And then I will talk about the sharing capabilities that the Google Suite offers. And then lastly, depending on how much time we have left, I will discuss some other helpful Google apps, such as Google Meet and YouTube. So with that being said, let's just jump right into our Google Suite. So I'm going to first start in Gmail. So this is my Gmail account opened. As you all know, with our CFCC emails, we have access to the entire Gmail suite, which basically means, yes, you have email, but you also have a bunch of other apps for free that Google offers you, and that's what we're going to go over today. So to start, this is your Gmail screen. You have your main options to the left. But I'm going to show us some cool things in this toolbar, I guess you could call it, and then I'm going to move over here. So the first thing that I think is very helpful is creating these different labels in Gmail. So that is a very good way of organizing your emails into different categories. In order to create a label, you would scroll down to the More option, and you will see something called Create New Label. When you click that, you will give it a name, and then you just click Create. Then you will notice that it just appears right under your main tabs, such as Inbox, Sent, and Drafts, and then you'll see your labels appear. If you click on the three dots next to your label, you can actually change it to a different color, which is helpful for categorizing things, and you can also change some of the settings related to these labels. Then, when you're in your inbox, you could easily drag an email into that label, and then you'll notice that it is stored there. So this really helps you take emails out of the main inbox and then kind of sort through them in these labels. So this is something I have found to be very helpful and helps me better utilize my Gmail account. So that is the first thing. And then over here to the right of your screen, you may have or may have never noticed these little icons, but you have a calendar icon, a Google Keep icon, tasks, and then contacts. The one I use the most is this calendar, and if I click there, you'll see how your actual Google Calendar will appear next to your email. This is really great because you can have your emails open and your schedule open so that you can keep track of what's going on during your day and you don't have to open up a new tab to view your calendar. You can see that it sorts it by hour, so whenever you have an event on your calendar, it will tell you what hour you're at with this red line. We're at 11 o'clock right now, so you can see this faint red line, and it will show you your different events during the day. You also have a Google Keep icon, which is basically notes. So you can keep track of notes very simply here. If you click Take a Note, you can give it a title, and then you can give your notes there, whatever you're going to say, and then click Done. You can pin the note there if you want it to stay at the top and be the most important one. And then you also have the option to archive, delete, or open it in the actual Google Keep app, which will open it in a new tab. The Google Keep Notes is very useful for just keeping, quick little notes that maybe you don't have time to get paper out and you just want to type it out there. Or if you just like to take notes online better, then that's a very useful app in the Gmail suite. Next, you have the Tasks option. And this is basically just a checklist. So if you have tasks that you want to put on here, You could give in title, details, date and time, and then it will just give you a little checkbox. So whenever you're finished with something, you can click the check and it will go down to your tasks completed. I've definitely used this tool a lot just for quick reminders or things that I want to check off my to-do list, or however you like to keep track of your tasks. And I just like to point out this sidebar because these kind of are hidden icons. You may have not come across them if you weren't really looking. So that is definitely something I would recommend utilizing in Gmail. The next little quick tip I just want to show you all is how you can schedule a message to be sent later on. So in order to schedule a message, say for example, you like to send out an email to your students at 8 a.m., but you don't want to be physically at the computer at that time, you can actually schedule an email to be sent. So in order to do that, you would click on your compose an email icon. You would put in your recipients, subject, and then at the very bottom of your email screen, you would click on this blue drop-down arrow. It's all at the bottom there, and click Schedule Send. Then from here, you can just pick either day and time. It gives you some options to start. But let's say I click on pick date and time. I can say that tomorrow, I'll leave the time for now, but you can change that time. And you can just say tomorrow at 12:08, I'm going to schedule this email to be sent. Then you would just click Schedule Send, and it will pop into your scheduled tab to the left. So that's how you can keep track of the messages that you have scheduled. You can always change those. You can delete them, favorite them, move them around within Gmail. But that is definitely a useful feature if you are someone who likes to plan out when you're going to send out emails or announcements to whoever you're communicating with.
Deborah has a question.
Yes.
She's asking about, Dawn and I both wrote the same thing. She's asking about the sidebar. I think probably the calendar.
I'm thinking the calendar and the notes and the tasks that you're demonstrating.
Yeah. What is
hers is not showing, I believe.
Oh.
How does that show up?
How did you get that to show? Was the question.
Yeah.
Oh, mine has always, I'm pretty sure they're always there. And then you just click on the icon. I didn't have to set that up or anything.
Okay. It might be.
Do you guys remember?
Might be a browser thing.
It could, yeah.
Because I.
Because you're in your laptop there.
Mm-hmm. And I don't have those options on the far.
Yeah, I think it's probably because maybe this browser size or.
Oh, little arrow at the bottom.
Little tiny arrow.
Yeah.
If you go back to your email, sorry, I didn't mean to point.
This is my email.
Okay. Well, there's a little arrow down here,
Yeah.
and so she can pull that out. And
Oh,
it gives
I'm
her the
wondering
little
if it's
icon.
because it's
It gives her
zoomed
the-
in.
Calendar is full
Let me
screen.
see if this is
Yeah.
zoomed.
Yeah, because mine's not either. Yeah, I have to go to the arrow and it's for the
And
other
pull it
side.
out,
I have
yeah.
to pull it out.
I did too.
So, yeah.
Huh.
'Cause mine's full screen too.
Let me
You want
see.
to see?
Yeah, I'm curious
Yeah.
now.
'Cause, yeah, so it's full screen so they don't show unless you click there and then they show.
Oh, that is so funny because
And
mine
then
has
this
never.
one, too.
I have never had to click on that arrow.
It's
but
just
good
'cause
to
it's
know.
set it full screen.
Okay, perfect. Well, hopefully that answered her question.
Yeah.
I can't see the
She
chat,
said
but
the calendar is full screen.
Yeah, so she probably opened it. It's another tab.
so that is something I can point out. If you click on this open in new tab,
Yeah.
that will open up your calendar in a new tab.
So she just needs to, can you X out of that, Jamie? X out of your list?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
so-
there it is.
Yeah, she just needs to pull that arrow, use that arrow to pull out the choices, and if she clicks on the little calendar icon, it'll pop up, the sidebar. will
hmm
pop
I
up.
think I unzoomed because this was zoomed in, so
Oh, that
this
makes
it was
sense.
like super big on my side.
Yeah.
There you go. So if you hit that hide, but if you click it out, then there will always be there. So if that's something you're interested, then I would just recommend not hiding it.
Battery?
All right, do we have any other questions before I move on? Or is everyone all good?
She got it.
Okay, perfect. That's good to know.
Yeah, I got it. Okay.
So, as I just said, the scheduling schedule sent messages is another helpful tip, and you can do that when you're composing an email, clicking on that drop down and then schedule send. Another thing I just want to point out before we move into some of the other apps is the gear icon. So this is where you will find all of those more advanced settings for your Gmail account. So when I click on that gear, you first will see quick settings. So that is how you change the layout of your Gmail. You can change your theme. Like, for example, mine has this gray-blue background, so you can actually change the theme, which is the background. You can also change how you want your inbox to be displayed, how you like it to be read, all of that stuff. So you can also click on See All Settings, and that is where you will find, for example, if you scroll all the way down, like your signature line. You can edit that. You can create a new signature there. Out of office. So that's going to be in those more advanced settings under All Settings. And again, I just like to point this out. It could be a reminder to some of you, or maybe you've never clicked on that gear, but I feel like sometimes if you don't explore the different icons, you may not realize what is actually available to you. So back in my inbox, if I click on a message, you'll then see that all of these different icons appear when you actually have chosen an email. So you could archive it right there, you could delete, you can mark it as unread, snooze, add to your tasks, which is in that right-hand panel, move it to another category, or add it to another label or create a label. So those are some quick actions and features you can use in your Gmail just to help you be more efficient when you're going through emails in Google. And you also may have noticed that there is like an update kind of to the Gmail, and that is this status. So you can choose based on your activity. So you can do automatic, which is basically it will tell people when you're in your Gmail, it will turn green. You could put it on Do Not Disturb or Set as Away. You could also change and add a different status. And that's really just to maybe like your colleagues or people you chat with or email with more often, they could see, oh, you know, Jamie's away right now. She's not on her email. So those are just some little tips and tricks that I wanted to share with you all for the actual Gmail portion of today's session. I'll pause here again. Any questions about what I've covered for Gmail? Any questions in the room or virtual? Can't see the chat. Let's see. Okay, I think we're good. Well, I will keep going. But that is everything in the Gmail that I'm going to cover, just some tips and tricks. I do recommend you explore the Gmail because there is a lot of cool things that will help you be more efficient while looking at email. So now we're going to move over to this square with these little different dots in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. And that is essentially the Google Suite, also known as your Google Apps. So I'm going to click there. And yours might look a little different, but I'm going to tell you why they might be in a different order. So when you first open up your Google Apps, you'll see you have the Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides, the Calendar, YouTube, Meet. There's a lot that you probably don't use, but you do have access to if you want. And something cool about this little layout is you can actually click and hold and drag them to a new location. So let's say you never use whatever currents is, you can just drag that down in the order and you can drag something up. So I would recommend kind of organizing yours based on what you use the most. So if you use Gmail, Drive, Docs, and YouTube the most, then you could have that laid out right at the very top so that you don't have to scroll down to the bottom every time you want to, say, access Google Classroom or something like that. So you could spend a little bit of time just clicking on that. You'll see it grabs it with the little hand and then reorganizing it. So that's a helpful tip because then, like I said, you don't have to scroll all the way to the bottom to access your most used apps. But with that being said, we're just going to move over to Google Docs, which is right here. I'm just going to talk about this very briefly, but I do want to point out a few things. So in order to open this app or item in the Google Suite, I would just click on the app and then it will open it up. You'll see anytime you open a new item or app, it will give you the option to create something blank, or they will actually give you some templates. You'll see here this template gallery button will give you all sorts of templates, lesson plans, letter formats, educational formats, and you can also click on this Cape Fear Community College, and there's some already built-in templates, and I'm actually going to show you later on how like Google Forms and some of the other apps also have a Cape Fear template. So the template is something that I think could save you all a lot of time if you feel that you could fit your content into a particular template. So I'm just going to click on this class notes template, and I'm just going to wait for it to load. All right. So this is a Google Doc. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it, but if you are not, the main difference of a Google Doc between, say, a Word desktop app is that Google saves automatically. So anytime you add something to your document, you will see that it says last edit was seconds ago, and that's basically just telling you that it has saved. And anytime you reopen this, it will, as long as you're online and you're not offline, it will automatically save it, which is similar to like Microsoft on like Outlook or something like that that is on a web-based browser. You can also click on that last edit was seconds ago to open up version history. So let's say you're working on this document with another staff or faculty member, and you want to see what someone else added. Maybe Dawn and I were working on this, and I wanted to see, oh, Dawn's been in this document, what did she add? I could click on that version history. So to get to that again, you would just click on it says whenever your last edit was. So if it might say your last edit was 30 minutes ago, mine was just seconds ago. But you would just click on that little hyperlink, and then you would see the different versions. It will kind of cross out and show what has been added, and that's just your different, basically just the history of the document. Since Google Docs can be easily shared and worked on with other people, I think that's a really good feature, just so you can see who's editing what and what changes were made. So to get back to your document, you would just click on that arrow, and now you would be back. Another important thing for accessibility in Google Docs, which I think makes it very easy, is this styles option. If you click there, you'll see that you have the option to add in a title, subtitle, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. And that makes it very easy to organize your document, and then it makes it accessible to be read by like a screen reader. And that's why it's so important to use headers in your documents. And I would say Google Docs makes it much easier to add in headings than I would say in Word. Everyone has their preference, but I think creating documents in Google Docs is a lot easier for that purpose because it gives you them laid out right there. It will even tell you if I highlight something what style it is already in. So that is in a heading 1. So when it's read by a screen reader, it would say that this is your title, your heading title, and then heading 1 is whatever you had given it. Moving on to the sharing capabilities of a Google Doc. This is just something I want to review very briefly, but in order to share a document, you would go up to this blue share button, and then this is where you have some different options. If I want to share this with someone through email, I could just click on Add People, and then I could start typing in their email. You can also check Notify People, which tells you that it will send an email to their Gmail account. If you don't check that box, the document will just appear in like their Google Drive, but they won't actually get an email notification saying like Jamie has shared this document with you. You can also provide a message in the message field, and you can determine whether you want the person you're sharing it with to be an editor, viewer, or commenter. A viewer can only view the document. They can download it as well, I believe, but they can't make any edits to it or change the physical document. A commenter can leave comments, so they can go through, use the comment annotation button, and leave comments, but they, again, can't change anything. An editor has full permission, so they can edit the document, they can share the document, they can view whatever is there, they can view the history. So those are your different permissions. Similar to like in Collaborate when you have moderator, participant, or presenter, that's kind of the same situation where you can assign different roles to the people you're sharing it with. And I'm going to click out so that I don't send this, but you can also just get the link, so you can restrict it to just Cape Fear Community College, which means that whoever you share this with will have to be logged into their Cape Fear Gmail account. So if you're sharing this maybe, for example, through Blackboard, and a student isn't logged into their Gmail account, they won't be able to view it unless they log into their Gmail. So I think that's sometimes where people get hung up with choosing that option. It's a very good way of ensuring that the document is secure and remains within Cape Fear, but just a reminder that if a student does ask you why they can't open it, it most likely is because they're not logged into their Gmail account. But if you click on this drop-down arrow, you can actually choose anyone with this link, and that is pretty much open to the public. So if students shared this link with someone else, they could also open it. They don't only have to be at Cape Fear. But you could change the permissions again with the drop-down viewer, commenter, editor. I would recommend that if you're just sharing this with someone that, like just a student, I would always put viewer just so that they can't change anything. But if you're collaborating with faculty, staff, or even students collaborating with each other, then the editor option would be the best one for that type of situation. Then to copy that link, you would just go to copy link, and it is now in what's considered the clipboard. And the clipboard is basically just telling you that all you have to do now is right click and choose paste. So for example, I could open up a new tab, click paste, and there it is. So that's an easy way to copy it, but you might be wondering where the link has actually gone, and that's just saying that all you have to do now is click paste. So those are the different sharing capabilities. I'll pause here. Do we have any questions about Google Docs and how you can share?
So you can paste that anywhere once you copied that link, like a Word document or
yeah.
Blackboard or anything. Okay.
So you could share a Google Doc link in Blackboard with like the create link option in another document. As long as it's a hyperlink, you should be good. But if we don't have any other questions about sharing or the docs, I'm going to move into Google Forms. So to get to Google Forms, I'm going to go back to my Gmail account. I think the easiest way to get to everything is through this Google Apps button and then finding the option in here. So the next one we're going to talk about is the Google Forms, which is basically surveys and other little assessments that you can easily share with others. So I'm going to click on the Forms button. And again, you will see some templates appear. You will see your recent forms and so on. And everything is laid out nicely for you to see. A Google form could be used, like I said, for a survey that you're sending out. It could be like a worksheet or an assessment, a quiz, exit ticket, as you can see here, or any other form that you want to use to collect information quickly. Our department, online learning, uses this a lot. I'm sure you see our surveys that we send out. But it is a super efficient way of collecting information very quickly and easily. But I did want to point out the template gallery again. You'll see that Cape Fear does have a template with our logo under the template gallery. So if you want it to look very official and look like it's coming from Cape Fear, you could definitely use that template. Or there's general. So there's some general ones that are already set up. If you want to kind of just move around the information and add your own content in, you could definitely use a template. But for today's workshop, I'm going to go back with the arrow, and I'm going to click blank. You will see now that this is the blank setup or blank form that I have chosen, and this is going to allow me to really customize everything. So whenever you're creating a form, the first thing you will want to do is, of course, give it a title over here to the left. Maybe this is going to be a class survey, so you can give your title there, and then you'll see it automatically changed my title in the center. Next, I would recommend always putting in a form description, just because it gives the participants a little bit more context into how this information is going to be used or what it's going to be used for, etc. If it's going to be anonymous, kind of all those details. So you could put that in here. Used for class, whatever you're going to say. Just about whoever logs in will see what it's going to be used for. So next, we have this kind of little toolbar over here, and that's what you're going to use to add questions. So you'll see that my form already has one set up, but I'm going to click Add Question to add another one to work with. This is where your question goes. So you could say, which you like using the best, something. And then once you have your questions set, you can choose what type of answers you want. Do you want it to be a multiple choice question? Do you want it to be multiple checkboxes, drop down, a paragraph, short answer? You can even choose like multiple choice grid, or if you want them to log a time or date or something like that, you could choose that. I'm just going to click the multiple choice one, and then it lays it out pretty easily. It tells you what options you have to put in, so you can just put in your first choice, and then you would just keep typing in, and it sometimes offers the option to put in an other category. So if your participants feel that they cannot pick one of the provided answers, they could do other, and they could type it in themselves. But you would just repeat those steps. So again, you would put in your next question here, and then you could choose, do you want it to be paragraph, then you would just have them write out their answers, and so on. You could also use the duplicate button right here to duplicate questions and then edit them, easily delete with the trash can here, or you can toggle this required button on and off, and this will tell students when the form is actually live, there will be a red asterisk next to the question saying that this is a required question and you cannot submit the form unless you submit that answer. You also have some other options over here. You could add in another title, and description like we did up there. If you wanted to separate your document or your form, you can add in images from the drive, easily add videos, and then add a different section. So I won't go through all of that, but it's pretty easy. Once you add one question, you would just repeat those steps, and you can have as many questions as you want. You can have one question. There's really no limit to what you can do with the forms. You can also use the customized theme up here. You can change the different theme colors, background colors. You can choose images. Google gives you these free images, so you could go through all these different ones. You could upload your own picture if you wanted, but I think they give a lot. And then you would just click Insert, and then you'll see a banner has been added at the top of your form. So that all that fun stuff is in the Customize Theme button up here. Another useful feature is this preview, this little eye icon. If you click that, you will see what your form looks like in the live format. So you'll see, as I said, the required red text is next to, or red asterisk is next to my required question. It tells the student what email they're logged into when they're going to be submitting this and everything like that. So I would highly recommend using the preview option right there to see what your form is going to look like before you send it out. This will help you catch anything that doesn't look right. Of course, you have the settings icon, and this is very important because you have some options here that will really affect the information you collect. If you don't want it to be, if you want it to be anonymous, you would not click the Collect Emails box. Collect Emails will tell you of whoever participated. It will give you all of the emails that they used to log into the form and complete it. So if you're using this for like a class assignment or something, you would want to collect emails so that you can see which students participated. But you would want to tell students that their email is being collected in that form. If it's an anonymous form, you would want to say this is information is anonymous so that you get the best results. I would always recommend keeping it as restrict to users at Cape Fear Community College. And if you're using this for an assignment or something, I would check the limit to 1 response. That way, if you're sharing this with students, they don't go in and submit like 5 responses. And then you won't know which is the one that they want counted. So those are some very important options to check when you're creating a form. But when you're done, all you would do is click Save at the bottom here, and your document is saved. The last step of a Google Doc is the sharing option. In order to share, you would go up to the purple Send button, and here you also have some options. You could add emails specifically to whoever you're sharing this with. You could add collaborators if you want another staff or faculty member to work on this with you. But I would recommend always using this link option and sharing this link with your participants. You can also check this shorten URL button to give you a more condensed link that's easy to share. And just as I had showed us with the Google Docs, all you would do is click copy. And now you could just right-click, paste that form into any other source. You could paste that into Blackboard, into an email, into another document, so on. You can also embed it, but I don't think we'll really be using that. I think the most easy options would be the email or the link. The link is the one I always use. You probably have seen us in online learning. We've even sent out a link to a form in a Blackboard announcement, and then whoever's participating can access it that way as well. But I'm going to exit out of that. And then lastly, you have the 3 dots or the More Options tab, and that kind of just gives you the same features or settings that we just talked about. So I know that was a lot, but Google Forms, once you get in there and play around, you'll see that it's pretty easy to create questions. And like I showed, you can duplicate those questions. So you could duplicate a multiple choice question 5 times and then just change the text. So I think it's a very helpful tool. But before I move on, do we have any questions about Google Forms?
We did have one, are they accessible? And I was looking that up. I know we have the accessibility checker on the documents, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's considered, I would say, like a web page, so it probably would fall into accessibility for web pages, but we can definitely look into that.
Okay.
I would think if you weren't using pictures and colors and you just had the text, title, description, and then questions, it probably would be accessible, but we could test that out for you. Any other questions in the room? Are you guys good? Okay. All right, well, I will move on to our last little portion, which is Google Meet and YouTube. As we, I'm sure a lot of faculty and staff have started to create more videos, instructional videos, ever since, the pandemic started. And a great place to store those videos is through YouTube. With your CFCC Gmail account, we all have access to a YouTube account. It is free, and it is free to create and upload videos. If you didn't know, YouTube is, like I just said, considered a app in the Google Suite. So to access YouTube, you would click on the Google App Squares and then click YouTube. Now, this is the generic screen that will appear when you log into YouTube. But the little portion I just want to show us today of YouTube, of course, we're not going to get into everything, all things YouTube, but I do want to show you how you can create your channel, or where you would go to create a channel. So if it's your first time logging into YouTube, you would want to create a channel. And to do so, you would go over here to your profile picture. And this will either be like the first initial of your name if you don't have a picture set up, or it will be your Gmail profile picture. And you would click on there and choose your channel. So mine's set up, which is why it says that. But if you've never used YouTube before, you would go to this exact same spot and click Create Channel. And then it will automatically create a channel for you. It might ask you to just verify your name and maybe some other information, but it's honestly very simple. And then once you come back to your profile picture, you will click, and then you will click your channel, and that's where you will find all of your videos stored. And this is where I upload a lot of our instructional training videos. So they would all be stored in your YouTube account. Do you have a question?
I'm not seeing that. So is it the profile picture at the very top or the second one down?
So back on that home page, it would be at the very top right corner.
Okay.
Okay, so go back under Google.
Okay. Let me know if you guys need. Guess we'll keep going. You have yours set up, you to use it?
Not for this, like you said.
There's your little picture.
Kind of dog.
Oh,
You'll
okay.
go, you'll see YouTube.
It's definitely a helpful tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, studio. Yeah, go ahead and go to your YouTube.
Yeah. So Dawn's helping in the class, but
Oh, sure. Wait.
so that's really the only part I wanted to show is how you can create that channel. You'll just want to create that channel.
Oh, she has to create her channel, okay.
I can help you after the session too, if you need. But once you have your channel created, you would click on create if you want to upload a video, and then you can explore YouTube a lot more in depth. We have other instructional training videos on YouTube through our online learning course that you could definitely explore further. But I just wanted to highlight really the fact that you do have a YouTube channel. Now, the last item I want to point out is the Google Meet option. So similar to Blackboard Collaborate, we have Google Meet, which is another video conferencing tool through the Google Suite. So if you don't want to have to go through Blackboard and you just want like a quick video to chat with other instructors, staff, one of us in online learning, or even students, you could click on the Google Meet icon right there, and then it will appear. And Google Meet is honestly super simple. Once you hit new meeting, it will appear. I'll click that and show you. You can schedule a meeting for later. You can start an instant meeting, or you can schedule it in your Google Calendar and have a link paired up to your event.
So that's not the same thing as Google Chat.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah, so Google Meet is the video conferencing tool, and Google Chat is kind of like an IM instant messaging feature that you can add to your Gmail account also. But Google Meet, I think, is very helpful just for those quick meetings. If you don't want to have to go through Blackboard, you could just add that to your calendar, email, and send that out to other individuals as well. Last thing I want to show us with Google Meet is back in Gmail. If you create an event in your calendar, let's say I click on my calendar, I add an event, you could go down to the add location. Could be like if you have a Collaborate link or a virtual meeting, you could add that there. But you can also add a Google Meet video conferencing session, and it will create a session for you right there for that particular time assigned to the event. So that is a very easy way to create a session right away. So those are just the last two tools I wanted to point out. I didn't want to get into too much detail just because Google has tons and tons of tools that you can explore. But I really just wanted to highlight the ones I think that will make working online a little bit more efficient for everyone, and just kind of highlighting some of those tips and tricks that I have found personally to be the most useful. But I'm going to close out of that, discard that one, and I'm just going to pause here. That is all the content I wanted to cover today. If you don't have any other questions, I just want to thank you so much for joining us today for this session. We really do appreciate the attendance and your interest in learning more about these tools. We do have some other sessions today. We have our tips for engaging students with Harmonize at 1 o'clock. And then we have our final session of distance learning at 2 p.m., which is going to be just an open session for any Blackboard questions, and Brantley will be facilitating that. But I'll stick around, but if you don't have any other questions, again, just thank you so much. We do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
A lot of good ideas.
Yeah.
Do you want me to leave this up or close that?
You could close out if you want to log out.